Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. The title of this video tonight is Why is it so hard to find good tenants? And this is actually part one of a two-part video. I'll be doing part two this weekend, and part two is going to be Why is it so hard to find good landlords? And I'm basing the titles of these videos off of comments and different conversations that arose in a Luzerne County house and apartment for rental group. And a landlady by the name of Katie asked the question, why is it so hard to find good tenants? Some of the answers are legit and well thought out. Some are just plain stupid. And for the most part, it does give one an insight into what landlords are going through right now. Now, as a whole, I do definitely feel for landlords who were really impacted with this pandemic. Some of the things I have seen in this real estate group, damage done to properties when people move out. And for life of me, I don't understand that. I really, truly do not understand that because I thought people could be arrested for that. So when I see these people post names and pictures of a family who had left their property and you see how horrible they leave it, I mean, I scratch my head. If I owned a building and that happened, I would be very angry too. I mean, that's common sense. Um, Another thing, of course, is taxes. And many communities, taxes have gone up. PA has some ridiculous taxes, and I'm actually going to get into that in a moment. So I just thought it would be interesting to share with you guys some of these comments. But first, even before that, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Hazleton, which was based on a census from 2015 to 2019. Just to give you guys a good starting point of the salary, what percentage of people were in poverty and median rents? We go. According to the most recent census, Hazleton has a population of 24,784. It is the 22nd largest city in PA and the 1,554th largest city in the US. Hazleton is currently declining. Wow, tell me something I did not know. At a rate of 0.02% annually, and its population decreased by minus 2.19%. In 2010, there was a population of 25,340. Hazleton has a population density of 4,123 people per square mile. Now, the average household income in Hazleton is $54,417, with a poverty rate of 22.10%. However, in regards to the poverty rate, there's other data to show that women, 44% of women in Hazleton are living in poverty, and only 18% of men. And I was really surprised by that because I don't know if that is indicative of, say, disabled elderly women or single women. There wasn't a lot of clarification on that, but that surprised me. Now, according to this, it says the average rental cost in recent years comes to $812 per month. That is supposed to be for a two-bedroom based on 2019-2020 data. Back in 2019 and even last year, I didn't know of anyone that was paying $800 or more for a two-bedroom. I was paying $600. I think one of my friends was paying $675. Um, I really did not know of anyone. I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't people in Hazleton paying that, but I'm saying within people I knew, I actually did not know anybody that was paying that. Now I could see paying that with a house, um, and I think there was someone I knew who was paying like almost 9 for a house, but it was a 4-bedroom house. Or no, no, correction, 3-bedroom. So, yeah, I, questioned that as far as the figures with that. Um, I don't know, like I'm just saying nobody I knew was paying that. Not saying they're wrong, I'm just questioning it. Maybe it's like what part of Hazleton? I don't know. It says the median house value is 97,900. I know our building back in Harrison Street sold for, well, Tony was asking 249,000 for it. He sold it at 210,000. I am horrified that the building went for that because it's over 100 years old. And there wasn't really a lot done to it to fix it up, but hey, it is what it is. So, just that little background info with Hazleton. On with the video. So, as I was saying, there is a realty group in on Facebook, and I'm a member of it. It's called Luzerne County Houses and Apartments for Rent. And a lady by the name of Katie, back in July 25th, posed the question, why is it so hard to find good tenants? And she got some very, serious answers. She got some few stupid ones, but for the most part, many of them were reasonable answers. Here is one that caught my eye. Because most landlords base good tenant on background check and credit check. No matter how old the offense, they believe people don't learn from their mistakes, even if it's a decade old or more. And if you have student loans or something similar show up as bad credit. Some of the things like a bill that wasn't paid cause someone using your name, landlords will pick you right over. Another person said because of substandard housing and the fact that the properties are not taken care of. Because you're all out there charging according to the bubble. Yet your properties are, sorry for the profanity, shitholes. Hope I shed some light on this. Other reasons include non-refundable application fees, dicking around, not returning calls in a timely manner, the quiet violation of Fair Housing Act, animal policies, even though half of y'all own animals yourselves, you create the problem. For landlords who don't fall into these categories, please disregard the above. Doubt there are many. Now, before I read a few more comments, I do want to say that a lady created a group called Bad Renters in Luzerne County. It's called Bad Tenants and Landlords in Luzerne County. It's a private group. And these landlords will put people's names and do videos and pictures of properties that were damaged by people they rented to. Now, while I consider that, it has its pros and cons. It does let other potential landlords know not to rent to these people. But a part of me also thinks that it almost borders on slander because you could take that person to court. You could have them arrested. You have options available to you that you don't need to put everything public on Facebook. And I don't necessarily think that makes a potential landlord look so good either. I mean, they could do a video, put a person's name, say this is how they left the property, but they don't need to slander a person either by saying a whole bunch of things. Um, I don't know. I mean, as I said, I do understand putting that info out there for other prospective landlords, but I think situations like that should be handled in the courts. Even if a person doesn't get anything out of it, still, a judgment does go on someone's credit record. I don't think it's the wisest or necessarily the most professional to drag someone's name through the mud, per se, all over Facebook. I think there is a responsible way to address it. So I do have my misgivings about these people that are jumping in this group. And there was a lady who complained about people they let garbage on their back porch. The place looked clean, but they left some garbage on the back porch. And she's complaining about it being dirty and this and that, but a lot of people commented this place looks reasonably clean, like just some garbage on the back porch. Really? Maybe she forgot about it. Um, Maybe nobody, was there out. Maybe legally she couldn't put it out for pickup. It was too soon. People are like, I mean, give it a break. The apartment was clean. I don't see any holes or damage. So I don't know. I think groups like that, in a way, they serve a good purpose, but I think it's also too easy that they can turn into just bashing people. Someone said, I've had nothing but slumlords in Pennsylvania. Another person said, crazy prices. I'm a clean and quiet tenant. I'm asking myself, why is it so hard to find a good place to live that's affordable? Now, this was an interesting comment. My kids moved back in with me last year. We have no established credit. Work all the time, cash on hand. My kids have been looking for a new place each. No one will rent to them. Even with the ability of a year lease paid in full from the door, they want them to have debt and a credit line. Whatever happened to cash on hand, living debt free was a good thing. I don't know how many things we haven't been able to buy or do because they take plastic only, not debit. It must be debt. I don't want to pay interest on things I can buy outright. I raised my kids to be the same way. Why would a landlord want debt and credit line to rent to someone who has a cold hard cash on hand? Now, that brings up an interesting point. My grandparents did not believe in credit. They believed in paying cash for things. And when I was a little girl, you didn't hear many people using credit, to be honest. There was vacation clubs, there was Christmas clubs, there was layaways for school clothes. People did not like really want to use credit, get into credit. My uncle paid cash for his house that he had on James Street in Hazelton. He literally had gone to a realty office when he inquired about a house and literally brought in 3 brown paper lunch bags full of $100 bills wrapped up with rubber bands. And that was how my uncle bought his house many years ago in Hazel. Landlords here want to charge as much for rent as New York City, Tampa, Dallas, Texas, Virginia Beach, Myrtle Beach, all of which the average income is significantly higher than this area. Why pay half or more than half of your monthly income just for a place to bathe, eat, and sleep, when you can pay the same amount in a better area while making more money? To which a landlord replied, not true. Most landlords require a tenant's income to be 3 times the rent. Here was an interesting reply to that question about tenants. Most landlords ask for too much. Sorry, but it's 2021. Most people have something on their background check. PA has no self-defense laws. So if someone attacks you, you're not supposed to fight back. About 60% of people have some form of simple assault in their records but are good people. When I first started looking, I had no credit established. I have a simple assault from 2013 and no credit at the time. It may be ineligible for most apartments. One landlord turned me down because of those two. My landlord rented to me. Funny thing was the landlord who denied me because the background check and credit check reached out to me 4 months in. He had two tenants that met the criteria and they both are bad tenants. They were drunks who caused scenes outside the apartment. The landlord had remembered what I said to him about giving people a chance and he asked if I was still looking. Nobody's perfect and landlords want all the boxes checked when that's not realistic. Now this was a landlord. It's hard to make people pay rent when the government makes it easier and easier for them to live for free, sit home and collect as much or more than when they worked. Force people to work by cutting their checks, force them back into a normal routine. I bet 95% will pay their bills and rent again. But fat chance of this happening. I gather he was talking about the extended unemployment and everything. But this answer, as a tenant, seems to sum it up best. I've read these comments and agree with many. This area is poverty-stricken and rent is outrageous anymore. 3 bedrooms is equivalent to a city apartment or condo. I understand mortgage and insurance. I personally am a single parent and cannot afford to pay $1,100, $1,500 month rent plus all utilities and my normal bills and food and kids' needs. If no utilities are included, lower the price for affordability. Just because someone is in a low-income bracket does not make them scum tenants. We live in Northeast Pennsylvania, not Philadelphia or New York City. Most cannot buy a home, but most rent is unaffordable. How is that fair? There's no reason to jack up rent for people due to COVID. It's bad enough people are barely making it on their income the way it is with everyone jumping up prices. Economy, gas, clothing, not having to pay this ridiculous amount of rent. No one can afford. You're going to see a lot moving out of state or even living homeless due to landlords that got very outrageous with prices of renting. To which a landlord replied, costs have gone up for landlords as well. All the cash we put out for background payments and application fees just to be rejected. To which somebody replied, I don't mind the checking and paying if I'm actually an option. You could always ask the requirements first. No need to pay for something if you don't meet the requirements. Now, people are saying that you can't do a background check on a landlord. That's not actually true. As I had said in a comment in this group, I used my life and for the heck of it, because a friend of mine was trying to find something out about her daughter's father. And we couldn't find anything in court dockets or anything. But using that, and I paid for it, I think, for 7 days or something. I found so much out, even with my own father, about a bankruptcy he had filed many years ago that my mom never even knew about. That I paid for it for like a whole year. And I found some interesting things out, for people that, wanted me to actually look into things. So you can actually do a general background check. And, you can at least find out if they've had any kind of, court actions against them. Maybe, you know, legal actions, possibly, maybe lost a property or something. So I don't think people should like sit there helplessly and say, oh, well, we should be able to do a background check on a landlord. A prospective landlord, you could generally, yes. Depending on what site you use. As I said, My Life is a good one. It's not that expensive if you're only going to use it for a few days. And if anything, I don't see why people actually wouldn't, because they don't know you and you don't know them. You don't know what you might be getting into nowadays. I mean, I don't think it would really hurt to actually, do something like that. Bottom line, the original question was, why is it so hard to find good tenants? I think I think that the reason it's so hard to find good tenants is not many people can meet their expectations. Not many people are earning 3 times the rental income, have a credit score between 620 and 650. Um, Not everybody has a squeaky clean background. Not everyone works steady. What about people who are like self-employed or what they call gig workers, I believe, like doing DoorDash, things like that? Some people just don't work a traditional job per se. And I know the first thing landlords do when they get hit with tax increases is pass it on to the tenants. As I said, Pennsylvania has some very stupid taxes, but the rainwater tax is by far the absolutely most ridiculous tax that I have ever heard of. I'm actually Googling it right now because I want to explain this properly so you could understand what people talk about in PA. A stormwater fee is a charge imposed on real estate owners for pollution and stormwater drainage from impervious surface runoff. This system imposes a tax that is proportional to the total impervious area on a particular property, including concrete or asphalt driveways or roofs that do not allow rain to infiltrate. The rain tax is a federal mandate that lists 7 states, including Pennsylvania, responsible for keeping pollution in the Chesapeake Bay down. And so many landlords and property owners want this to be removed. The standard fee is $65 a year. Some homes are assessed as much as $2,000. Luzerne County has to pay the fee. It's upwards of $200,000. And if landlords don't pay it, it does lead to legal action, it says. A lien will be put on the property. And it's a very unpopular tax, and personally, I think it's rather stupid. Hazelton, I believe, last year voted for another tax increase, property tax increase. Pennsylvania does have a high rate of taxes. I believe, and I'm actually going to Google this as well. Let me see what the current tax rate is here in PA. Pennsylvania personal income tax is levied at the rate of 3.07% against taxable income of resident and non-resident individuals. Let me see here. So the individual tax rate is 3.07%. The state and local tax burden is 10.2%. Our sales tax is 6%. Property taxes, 1.51%. State and local property tax collections per capita, $1,528. I will say this. The situation with the lack of affordable housing has definitely driven a big divide between tenants and landlords. And it's a shame because I can say I've had some really wonderful landlords in my life, and nowadays it seems there's just like so much animosity on both sides. I can understand that landlords lost money, but by the same token, some people lost work because of catching COVID. Some people lost their jobs and they didn't want it, didn't expect it, certainly didn't know that that was going to happen. It's been a rough time for both tenants and landlords. I think the ones that made it bad for many landlords are the people who weren't affected by the pandemic but chose not to pay their rent. They're the ones, I think, who took advantage of a bad situation and just made it so much worse. The people that trash their rental properties, they make it worse for the next people who come to look at that property. They really do. And I definitely think people that do that should be arrested and should be prosecuted. And even if you don't get a dime from it, you know, there's people walking around that have 6, 7, like evictions against them, judgments against them. Ashley, that was here, when we were clearing out her stuff that was in that other bedroom, we found judgments against her from like 11, 12 years ago. How this woman was still able to rent apartments was beyond me. I could not for the life of me have been able to get an apartment in Luzerne County with that many judgments against you. She never even paid her electric. Her electric bill was $15 a month. Now, come on. This woman just willfully didn't pay anything and has a history of doing it, and yet because she has kids, they're going to get her another apartment. I think it's ridiculous. I think there's something seriously wrong with the person who keeps living like that, you know? She got $100 2 months in a row she spent on weight loss products. She never even opened the boxes up and used them. Some kind of special foot cream by some company called Dr. Tuna. Yeah, Dr. Tuna. That was like $40, $50. Oh, but I can't pay a $15 light bill. I mean, come on, people, you know? Some people just don't have their priorities straight. So it is a very complicated situation. I have absolutely no idea what an answer would be. I did notice 2 days ago a 2-bedroom apartment for rent for $850. That was probably the first time since last year that I actually seen a somewhat reasonable rent that actually had water and sewer included. There was also someone in that housing group that rented a property in January, and now the same property is back up for rent. I guess their perfect tenant didn't work out. I don't know what to say, guys. It's a very complex situation. What would be an answer? I don't know. I think it would be a combination of things. A lot of people start with raising the minimum wage. Well, in order for raising the minimum wage to actually help people out of a financial mess, there has to be caps on rent. There has to be caps on utilities. If nothing is capped, these people are just going to be in the same bind, and it's not going to benefit them any way, shape, or form. It would be nice if there was a cap on rents or limits to how much it could be raised. But like in this state, in theory, your landlord could raise your rent every month, and there's nothing you could do about it. I think at some point maybe there should be some kind of laws about it because, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying the tongue-tied, necessarily saying rent control, but something that would help with rent stability. And I definitely do believe that there should have been and there needs to be more low-income housing built and made available. I'm 56, so in theory, in a couple of years, I would be eligible for elderly high-rise. Right now, I could qualify for a senior. There shouldn't be waiting list 4 or 5 years long. But I guess, nobody looks at statistics and figures and realizes, oh boy, yeah, we're going to run out of housing for people. Maybe there should be, rooming houses built again. At one time, Hazelton had like 4 or 5 of them, and they were pretty reasonable, but eventually they all turned into drug houses. I just think it's such a complicated problem, the housing situation right now. Definitely something I do want to do other videos about, though, and look into. There is some really interesting statistics about homelessness right now that I seen online the other day. And unfortunately, the percentage of elderly people going into homelessness, being on a fixed income, is rising. And there's no wonder why. Because if your rent is $900 and your income is $800, well, you can't afford that. Yeah, it's a mess, guys. So I just wanted to share some of these comments with you guys. Please feel free in the comment section below. Let me know, what do you think some workable solutions to this housing crisis right now would be. If you like this video, guys, please give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit my subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell for all, so you are notified every time I do upload a new video. Let me know in the comment section, guys, if you want me to do part 2, which is why is it so hard to find good landlords? And if you want me to continue some more videos in regards to homelessness, let me know that as well, guys. I have been doing a lot of digging around the past couple of months. I have some really interesting figures. Sad, but still interesting nonetheless. Let me know in the comment section. Take care, guys, and I will see you all on my next one. Bye.